I'm gonna get us started with my big first question. We'll take it, I think, maybe coming this way, which is, can you outline sort of the skills gaps that you see where you need folks or have trouble finding folks in your particular industry as it stands right now? Brian, do you want to start?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. So yeah, everyone thinks of working in hospitals and healthcare, they think of nurses and doctors. And then I also thought when I was starting my career, I walked in the hospital, I thought everyone in scrubs was either a nurse or a doctor. I didn't realize there's so many other jobs there. I will say right now at St. Bernard, I mean, we really look to hire radiology techs, those who do x-rays, MRIs, CTs. Ultrasound, sonography is a huge career field. We struggle to fill that, not just at St. Bernard, but at any hospital and even every hospital I've worked at along the Gulf Coast. So there are those careers in the medical aspect or medical realm of that, but also the hospital employs environmental services, nutrition, facilities, just a well, IT security. That is another huge one. And so, and healthcare organizations are great organizations to grow in. I spent my whole career, like I said, I started out as a frontline nurse and became a vice president. So even you don't have to work in actual clinician provider type roles to become a manager, director, vice president. Those we have the financial side of it. My best friend at work is the CFO financial person. So there's every realm of opportunity in healthcare. Again, when I was in the military and I was electrical principal specialist, I worked in the hospital repairing all the electrical systems. There's the biomed aspect of it if you're into technology and different things like that. So to say all that, there's just lots of opportunities in the hospital, and there's lots of opportunities in the medical realm of it. Right now we have a lot with the X-ray, CT, sonography, those things like that.
Wonderful, thank you. So an entire ecosystem.
The whole ecosystem encompassed in a building, absolutely.
Awesome. And what about you?
So I work in the oil and gas industry, and what I can tell you is we have a variety of careers, all the way from an engineer to an instrument tech, a process operator, human resources, accounting, you name it, we have a wide variety. What I will say that is our hardest candidates to find right now is actually our maintenance crafts people. So we are really struggling to fill the positions of instrumentation technicians, electrical craftsmen, pipe fitters, welders, and Nunez offers all of these opportunities here in addition to the P-Tech program, and we partner with Nunez regularly, and I think there's great opportunities that if you're looking for one of those careers, we need you, and you would have a wonderful opportunity to pursue those viable career options here at Nunez.
Perfect. Again, I think often we think, oh, this is in oil and gas. The only jobs available are P-Tech, but obviously that's not true. An entire ecosystem. Awesome. Mark?
Yeah, so essentially I work in the transportation, logistics, and maritime field. We have very similar skills gaps as does oil and gas, I would say. Generally, ours kind of starts at that maintenance, mechanical, equipment operator type positions. And one of the things as far as critical skills gaps I find typically is we've had people that have come into that industry just unknowing how big of an industry it is and how much it affects our whole ecosystem of the United States. And so, we help feed the world by moving, grain products. We help, facilitate the plant activities in order to, keep those plants running by providing raw materials to those plants. So, it's a critical piece of our infrastructure to have people to work and fulfill these positions. So, what we're seeing in the skills gap, is people are uneducated about where those opportunities are. And I think as industries, we've got to do a better job of bridging that gap with, places like Nunez to help them understand what are those skills gaps that we need fulfilled,
Wonderful. Thank you so much. And Charlie?
I think she must have read my my same playbook as yeah. So again, my name is Charlie Burt. I'm also in the oil and gas business. We produce and export liquefied natural gas. We have a facility here actually in Plaquemines that's under construction, but have one that's fully operational down in Cameron. And likewise, we have the process tech operators, instrumentation, electrical engineers, all the way down to safety professionals. But as we're building the facility, say here in Plaquemines and actually all across Louisiana, we are experiencing a a need for some of those positions that are unskilled. And thank God for some of our folks in Texas that have come over to help fill those gaps. But there's definitely a need in the construction industry, welders, laborers, safety technicians, and there's plenty of opportunities out there. And likewise, Nunez has been a great partner with us over the last few years in helping provide those gaps. And what we've done in Plaquemines, actually as a company for Venture Global, we've kind of helped develop our own community initiative, which is called the Will to Skill program, where we've looked at what skills and trades are in high demand, and we're providing that training to the residents of Plaquemines Parish free of charge. We started the program back in 2020, and as of a few weeks ago, we've graduated roughly 160 Plaquemines Parish residents that have got high skilled training, in-demand training, free of service, free of charge, and we're proud of that. And as those demands keep warranting themselves, we will keep expanding that program. So there's definitely a need for that labor out there, and we're happy to be a part, actually, with Nunez and teaming up with you guys.
So wonderful.
Appreciate it.
Thank you. All right, so we're going to move to Jacob here, who has a related but slightly different role in this space. So Jacob, can you tell us about the work that Ganoff is doing around sort of sector partnership, and what does collective work look like? Because we're hearing from everybody, oh, we have these gaps, we have very similar needs. How can we together do better to connect folks to employment and training?
Well, it might be helpful to start with talking about what the Greater New Orleans Foundation is. So we are the regional community foundation for 13 parishes in southeast Louisiana. That includes St. Bernard, that includes Plaquemines. And one way to describe our work is we advance charitable giving. There are generous people, there are generous organizations that care about causes in our region, and connecting workers and businesses is one of those causes. There's many reasons why workers and businesses struggle to connect, but one commitment as a regional organization is that we're going to use philanthropic dollars and public dollars to increase collaboration. So very excited that in the coming months, we're going to be launching a regional partnership in construction, a regional partnership in healthcare, and that work is in partnership with Nunez and many other partners. And as far as today, if you are a nonprofit partner, a public partner that wants to learn more about this work, I'd love to give out all of my cards. And if you are a job seeker that wants to get into healthcare or construction or any of these other industries that we have up here, you're at the right place because you're at Nunez Community College.
Absolutely. All right. So you just teed me up for my next question, so thanks, and anybody can take this one. For our folks who are seeking jobs, and then for our community partners who are trying to help folks get into the jobs that they want, do you have any tips for adults who are looking to get into these industries? I'm sure you've done a million interviews in your time. You alluded to this. What is it that can help folks in here sort of connect with your business and industry beyond obviously certifications and the training that they need?
I'll take that one. So, in addition to the certifications and getting qualified to meet the minimum qualifications to apply for the position, what I would say is make sure that you do what you can to stand out as a candidate. Your resume is a really big deal, and I'm currently the training superintendent, but I have served as an HR supervisor, and I've bounced back and forth between training and HR throughout my entire career. So I've looked at thousands of resumes, and when we get applications for these positions, your resume is what's going to sell you and help you to stand out. So make sure that you're taking advantage of the opportunities. I know Nunez here has a career counseling center that will help you with building your resume, and make sure that you're prepared for an interview. Practice makes perfect. Research the questions that you anticipate being asked ahead of time, because that's your opportunity to really sell yourself and market yourself to these companies. You've gone to Nunez, you've gotten your credentials, and now you're ready to enter the workforce. And really, that's what's going to help you set yourself apart, in my opinion, is being able to market yourself through your resume and through your interview skills.
I would say the same thing, just being prepared, kind of know what you're getting into, and, don't go into an application or interview process not knowing what you want or what you're even applying for. We see that often, and I get a lot of phone calls, obviously, and like, what are you applying for? And they can't give you a straight answer, or incompletenesses in applications and stuff. So I would stress that. We see a lot of that.
Yeah, so for our job seekers, I think too, as I'm sitting here listening, connecting with Parish works, with our adult education programs, with the career counseling center units, anywhere that you can get help to sort of work through this stuff. It's really hard to talk about yourself and how wonderful you are with prospective employers, but that's pretty much the name of the game, right? Okay. Can you guys tell me if you have any examples of what a pathway could look like for an adult learner who's trying to earn, but also needs to be learning? I mean, you pointed to this a little bit with like, I had to do nursing program at night, but like, what does that look like, or could that look like in your industries, where someone can start at a sort of more beginning place and then move up in the organization? Does anybody have an example of that?
I'll do that. In our industry, there's kind of multiple pathways we formulated just so that people can see that opportunity of growth towards a true career path, right? So we don't want you to come in with just, I have a job. We want you to have aspirations to grow within our organization. So generally, if you are unskilled or don't have, any kind of, skilled labor that you can bring to the table, we're going to kind of bring you in as kind of a deckhand or a laborer. But we're gonna teach you the skills that you need in order to kind of grow within the organization. Within 3 to 6 months, we're gonna start putting you into heavy machinery and starting to get you to operate that, or a clerk pathway, and then from there, you go on to kind of operate as what we consider an oiler position, and they essentially run the deck of the derrick barge cranes that we use to move the products that we are moving, and so. From there, crane operator, production manager, and then you're in ops management at that point. So there's general steps, and pathway time frame is really dependent upon you. In most of these instances, there's a learning curve with everything, right? So, but generally, that first level of promotions, 6 months to a year. From there, 1 to 2 years to get to that next level of position. Now we have steps, of growth in each position, so you're not stagnant in that position. So, but it's really dependent upon you. And I'll tell you today, it doesn't take a lot to outshine your peers, right? So, if you can stay off the phone, and focus on the work, put forth some effort, be on time. Those are things that are critical to operations that a lot of people don't understand. As to if we start a job 30 minutes late, well, that's 30 minutes less of production that we have, right? So the criticalness of being on time, in our industry, if we're, unable to unload a ship in a certain period of time, well, we have to pay what's called demurrage. So that money has to go back to that ship, so we're losing money on that job. So our profitability goes down. So we're unable to provide raises because of things like that. So just to really understand how the business works too, and just have a general understanding, a willingness to always learn, as Brian said earlier, so be curious, be willing to kind of step in, it may not be your job today, but if you want it to be, get in there and learn it, so.
Anyone else?
Yeah, I was going to say to that point, obviously people think of healthcare and these advanced degrees and all of this stuff, but there are entry-level jobs in what we call the healthcare hospital ecosystem. Whether it's security, scheduling, patient registration, environmental services. We even do some more on-the-job training with facilities. There are those kind of get your foot in the door opportunities, and I know I can speak for Ochsner, has a great workforce development program. I've worked for 5 healthcare organizations. I will say Ochsner is the one that I really feel they care about what I want to do and where I want to go. I worked for some organizations, and I was like, well, do they really care what I want to do? And who do I even talk to figure out where I can go in this company? There's not that. And so tooting Ochsner's horn, there is that opportunity. Again, to the point though, if your foot in the door and if you decide to stay in scheduling, and you can become a supervisor, manager of those departments, but if you have other dreams, aspirations of doing different things, there is that opportunity. It does take some time sometimes. I know mine. I would have loved to from day one walked in the door and been a nurse. It would have been not good for the patients. It would have been great for me. And it took 4 years, but 4 years in the scope of a lifetime of career is actually very short. And I've been a nurse for 25 years now. So so those things, there are those entry-level opportunities. Take advantage of those and pursue your dreams from there.
Right. And so things like CNA into LPN,
Absolutely.
into RN, into, we were talking earlier about a nurse anesthetist makes more money than we're gonna make. Right, so.
Higher paid than doctors sometimes.
Exactly,
Yeah.
exactly. And the thing is, when we're coming up, we generally just know the fields that we know because we know people who are in them, right? You know nurses because you've seen nurses. If you have family that works in oil and gas, you maybe know those fields. We need to do a better job along with everyone of exploring what's out there. Any other pathways sort of discussions?
Sure. So we have a lot of career pathways, as I mentioned earlier, but what we really spend a lot of time on is the learning and development of our employees at PBF Energy. So that's kind of my job, really. So basically, when we have somebody that comes in, and I'll use the PTech degree as my example for this, but when they come in the door, you're not just being let loose into the refinery. We're going to make sure that you have the skills and the knowledge that you need to be safe and to be successful out in the field. So you're going to go through a 5 to 6 week training program where we give you all of the fundamentals that you need, and then we send you to the unit, and then you're going to train on operating that specific unit for a couple of months, depending on the complexity of the unit. And then we have a career progression pathway. So when you walk through the door, you're going to know exactly where you can go and what the opportunities are ahead of you. We have continuous learning opportunities. So at 1 year, you're going to be brought back in to get another skill set. At 2 years, at 4 years, at 5 years, and it continues throughout your career. And it's not just with the PTech program, that's with a variety of the opportunities that we have at our refinery. And I will say that PBF Energy is really good about investing in the learning of their employees.
Can I just take a step back, real quick, show of hands, if you don't know what PTech stands for, because I didn't call it 1 year ago. Yeah, got questions about that. Can someone explain, I think it's process technology, but can someone explain what that actually means?
Yeah, so PTech is a process technology degree. It's an associate's degree that is offered here at Nunez. And essentially what you're going in to learn is different processes that we use to operate within the units within our refinery. And these units have processes such as distillation, treating the chemicals and the oil and gas that goes through the pipeline, essentially to be able to operate the units and produce the gasoline and the different products that we use day in and day out that's essential to modern industry. So if you are looking for a career choice that is going to provide you with the ability to contribute to everyday society, the oil and gas industry and the process technology degree, in addition to the instrumentation technician or electricals, that's one way to do it, and you will make an impact.
Awesome. Thank you so much. For my own benefit, as well as others in the room, I have a degree in medieval studies, so we didn't talk about it. Not a good career pathway, FYI. So we have a little bit of time left. Our adult learners, or adult candidates, meaning folks I would define as 25 and up, but we could say 20 and up. Just for context, there are 30,000 folks in St. Bernard Parish who either don't have a high school diploma or have a high school diploma and have no college, right? It's another 16,000 in Plaquemine. It's like 1 million across Louisiana, right? But folks who are adults but maybe need some skills training, are those attractive candidates coming into your company? Are you looking for adult sort of applicants versus maybe someone coming right out of high school? And what could be attractive about an adult coming in?
I'll say yes, absolutely. I think all of us.
Yes, absolutely.
I think all of us, have a particular need of skill set that we're looking to develop. Most of us are having to do that either in partnership with the Nunez or internally. So we're willing to take people because we have a lot of people that are aging out of our industries. We have a lot of people that are coming in with a lack of maturity, I would say.
Yep.
So we feel like, the adult, population of candidates that are out there would generally have lived a little more life, right? So they certainly understand the highs and lows and what a true career path opportunity would look like for them, right? So if you can afford them that opportunity and show them what that growth looks like, they may be that person that stays there a little bit longer or a lot longer, is our hope and goal, So.
Absolutely. Thank you. So yes, absolutely adults. Okay.
Yes.
And then our last sort of big picture question before we start getting into wrap up is, What do you think is changing or evolving in your industry in the next 5 to 10 years? I mean, we heard what you were saying, Brian, about technology is changing. It will continue to change at a more rapid pace. But for all of you, is there anything sort of aligned to what Brian was saying, or is there something different in your industry that we need to collectively be thinking about?
Technology is
Technology.
huge, right? It's an easy get, I think. I
Yeah.
think for all of us.
Yeah, I was gonna say technology. I mean, just like with PBF, you know, everything's being digitized now, so technology is definitely a key component.
Like even for us, if you don't mind me jumping in,
Yeah.
you know, one of the things that we've been working on in partnership with Caterpillar over the last 10 years is running remote operated equipment. What this is talking about their mechatronics program and the robotics and some of these things. So I can now operate a piece of heavy machinery from my office 30 miles down the road, 50 miles down the road. So, and it also changes the work environment. It takes boots off the barges, so it makes the work environment that much safer, right? But that also comes with a different skill set, right? So we also need people that can, learn PLCs and coding and these sort of things, because that's all part of the radio frequency process that goes into the communication between, the piece of equipment and chair that we have in our office. So, we're working in a very antiquated environment, but the pieces of equipment are changing, the partnerships are changing with those equipment manufacturers. And so, how we operate, moving forward is going to look a lot different over the next 5 to 10 years. And technology is not going away. It's only gaining speed. It's ramping up. And so we have to be able to jump on board, and people need those technical skills to be able to jump in and be able to work on those pieces of machinery. And it's different than turning wrenches. So
If I could just
Yes,
pick
please.
back on that. So as we mentioned about the process tech operators, which, they're usually like the boots on the ground out in the actual facility. The next step of that would be the DC board operators, where they're actually sitting behind the computer and actually running the plant from a computer. So that's a key component to our business, and those those are the advancements too that we talked about earlier on in the panel.
Yeah, so what I'm hearing is we need digital skills, everybody does, no matter their job, no matter their role, but more than that, we need digital resilience, because we know that next year, this job is gonna turn into one where we're gonna maybe have to do it remotely, so we need to be able to learn skills. Okay, my last question, because I'm being very cognizant of time, which is not normally something that I do, would be, what do we think our call to action as a group is, right? Like, what can we collectively do better in partnership with Nunez, in partnership with our workforce boards and all the community organizations that we have? How can we better connect to Jacob's point? Workers and industry and education, to make sure that more folks have opportunity. Does anybody want to jump on that one? Yes,
I can take that, sure. I think just starting out talking about today is a great thing, and I think that partnership, continuing to grow that partnership, that's why I actually go back to teaching at my community colleges. I was always there talking, recruiting, telling about the opportunities. They did call me the used car salesman when I came there, because I was talking so much about the job and how great it was. But I love that, and I love that partnership, because I think that's the thing that maybe was daunting with education before is, I'm sure you're great at medieval fairs, maybe, or Renaissance festivals. Yeah,
Yes.
that's a needed skill there. But not sit down.
No, I make fun of it all the time. It's
Yeah.
okay.
But I think that partnership really, it empowers those in the education system to say, hey, I see the light at the end of the tunnel, or I see what I'm going to do, or I see these opportunities. And let me tell you what, the biggest thing too is when I get in front of you or we start to develop the relationship before you come to work for me or work for a healthcare organization, I think that's the biggest thing, developing that relationship, developing that trust in your employer and trust in your employees. That creates the greatest workforce. So continuing those partnerships, I love to come guest lecture and do all that stuff. So any way we can grow that, for sure.
My response is stories. For those who are looking for jobs in the room, recruiters remember stories. It makes you very memorable and bigger than a resume. And for the partners in the room, for the businesses in the room, talking about opportunities through stories help those who are looking for jobs imagine themselves in that opportunity. So working together to really share the stories and the opportunities that we have in our region.
I love that. I love that. Did you have something?
No, I was agreeing.
No, it's pretty
That's
good.
awesome.
Any questions? We don't really. Any questions from y'all? We have like maybe a minute before I get booted. Yes, ma'am.
Thank you. I didn't hear one thing that I listened very attentively for. I did not hear any mentioned in the adult education for those have been formerly incarcerated. What type of training do we offer for the emotional and psychological effects on these people? When we mentioned something about the resume, well, they teach a lot of the skills that you guys need now in the prison. But if they've been in prison for 20 years, there's a big gap there. So how do they feel? We're not understanding how to fill that gap. But the emotional and the psychological aspects of putting us on jobs is overwhelming because we've been isolated. We're excellent workers, loyal, devoted, some of the best you'll ever have. But there's a psychological and emotional detachment
Sure.
that we cannot get. And so what are you guys looking to do possibly for the future to look into that
gap.
that big gap?
Yes, ma'am.
It's
Thank you.
needed. It has to happen for the sake of everybody.
Thanks.
So that's my question. What do we do?
Good question.
I'll take that. So while we don't have a formal program that offers what you mentioned, and I would go back to my Will to Skill program that we've implemented, and there's no barriers for that, no matter what background you have. We don't check driver's license. As long as you're a resident of I'm speaking for Plaquemines Parish, and out of high school, that's the two requirements. So no matter where you've been, where you're going, those are the types of programs that we offer for Venture Global, not only for Plaquemines, but in Southwest Louisiana, in which we're going to also expand the program to other areas. So that's kind of our giving back and just doing things in the community to help people that may need the opportunity.
Anybody else before I open my big mouth?
I was just going to add, it's been nice to see a change in industry and more so understanding what we call a just culture and understanding people's stories and listening to more of the story and working with people instead of kind of a hard no or this is, we don't accept this. So there's still work to be done. The industry has changed. I can speak to healthcare changing as well too. So I really, really appreciate that question. That even sparked more things for me to think about. But I will say that that just culture is something that we are really looking into, and some of the best workers may have a past that is not the normal past, but we want to give you another opportunity for sure.
Yeah, I'm sorry.
No, I was just gonna add, so I'm an officer, do workforce development there, and just wanted to share, I appreciate the question as well, because that's an area that we're always looking at, how do we build that pathway for people to come to the organization. We're actually in the process of adding a community health worker and a licensed clinical social worker into what we call our career center, and those individuals are gonna be there to help people, not just formerly incarcerated, but other folks in the workforce who are struggling with life.
Those kinds of barriers. Excellent. And it's a conversation I would love to have in the adult ed space specifically too, so I'll come find you. I'm getting the big hook for us to get off of this stage, so can you guys help me thank our panelists?